It's time for the Jupiter Joe Money Show. I'm Jenny Thomas, your co-host. We have Jupiter Joe, our host.
That's right.
We're talking about age.
Ages.
And why it matters.
Right. Well, I was thinking about this because there's so many age numbers that retirement has, and that's what people get crazy about. And then they go, I'm this age. Why does this number matter? What's 62, 65, 67, 70, 73, right?
Well, the first age everybody cares about is 21.
21, that's right. Turning 21 so you can go drinking. There you go. Right. See, in my day, you used to get a fake ID, so you didn't have to worry about that.
Was it 18?
It was 18 when we were growing up. Me and mom and all my friends and relatives, people I used to go out and party with. 18 was the number. So we did a lot of partying back then in those days. You didn't have to worry about age. You were 18, you started drinking. That was it.
21 for me and Dana.
There you go. Anyway, let's get off of that topic. Let's go back to real ages. So 59 and a half. You hear these people say 59 and a half, 73, okay, 62. We're going to break down the numbers, okay? 59 and a half is the earliest you can take money out of an IRA or a 401k or a 403b, anything with letters and numbers, you can take money out without a 10% penalty from the IRS.
Without it, yeah.
That's why 59 and a half is so important, right? The other numbers are 62, and we can just talk about these. 62 is, the soonest you can take Social Security, age 62. Now, you're going to have less money, but you can take it. Now, there's a lot of debate on should I take it, do I need to take it, can I take it? Look, if you're 62 and you need the money to live off of, take your Social Security. It's pretty simple. Yes, you can do all the math you want to do, right? The longer you wait for Social Security, the more you're going to have income-wise, right?
Okay.
But it lasts less number of years because you're not as young. Right?
Okay.
If you wait until 70, you're 8 years older. That means you have 8 years less income.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Now 65, that's when Medicare eligibility starts. So your health insurance now is covered. Now, if you're making a lot of money, though, you have something that kicks in called IRMA. And IRMA will basically penalize you because you're making too much money. And you're going to pay for Social Security. You're going to pay for Medicare, which is through your Social Security. They're going to reduce your Social Security benefits. Oh. Right. Yeah. So if your insurance if you're making a lot of money, they might charge you $500. They might charge you $800 a month out of your Social Security payment at 65 because you're making too much money.
So these numbers and ages, it really depends on also how much income, either if you're working or you're not working.
It does. And the same thing with 62. If you start taking Social Security and you're going to be, if you have income and you're still working, you're going to be taxed on that Social Security. So these ages mean it's a big deal, So let's just go through it again. 59 and a half, the soonest you can take money without a penalty from your IRA 401k. 62, the soonest you can take Social Security. You will make less money and it will be taxed most likely, unless that's the only income you have. 65, that's the soonest you can get Medicare eligibility. And you're probably going to pay a penalty if you're making other money.
Okay.
67 is full retirement age based on Social Security. Isn't it funny? Everything revolves around Social Security.
Yes.
Not a big deal, right? It is a big deal having
Huge
guaranteed
deal.
income. This is why all these ages reflect one thing, Social Security. That's how important it is.
And it's based on your age.
62, 65, 67. And 70 is the max age and the max amount of money you'll get from Social Security. But the reason we're talking about this is because I want people to understand that certain ages mean certain things to you. If you're 55 or 50, 55, 60, you really have to start planning these ages out.
Yes.
When do you want to retire? Everybody says, I want to retire today. Well, if you have the money, fine, you can do that. If you don't have the money, you can't do it. So these ages are going to mean a lot.
Well, some people, they think they have to keep working and maybe they don't have to continue working. Maybe they can retire. And I think that's what we've seen with a lot of, new clients coming in. Yeah. Is you say you can retire after 40 years here. Yeah. Let's turn your 401k into, income for life.
I think a lot of people that come in want to just stop working at the job they're in for 30 or 40 years. They actually say to me, Joe, I'm not going to stop working. I'm probably going to get a part-time job, or I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that with my son or my daughter. Or I have plans, right? Which is great. But that's up to you, what your needs are going to be. Age 70, maximum Social Security. That means you're going to get the maximum number. It depends on how much you made. Now, this is another falsehood. So many falsehoods in retirement planning, but here's one. People think that, Social Security is based on the last 5 years of your income. It is not. It's over a 30-year period. 30 years, they're going to average your money out. the last 5 years are not that important. Okay, whatever you're going to get with Social Security, you're going to get it. The max number is about $4,400, $4,500 a month. If you wait to, and you've made it you've maxed out every year on your Social Security, paying that Social Security. So, and every year you wait on Social Security, it does go up 8% increase, but the cost of living is 8% or 10% a year. So it's all relative,
How do people do this on their own?
They don't. And if they do, they're really winging it.
Yeah.
They're really winging it. See, this is why I'm trying to tell you, like, I actually can see the deer in headlights sometimes when I'm with clients, and I'll say, well, you're not this age, you're not that. And this one, if you're that. And they go, what the hell are you talking about? This is what I did for a living. I was an engineer at an aerospace company. I worked at Boeing my whole life. What are you telling me? And these are smart people. I have very smart people come in, and they look at me and they go, they think I'm making this stuff up, first of all. And I'm not making it up, folks. I swear to you. 73. This is age 73. This is a big deal. And we're going to get into it. RMDs. People say, what is that? RMDs, required minimum distributions. You have to start taking money out of your 401k, out of your IRAs, out of your 457, whatever the numbers and letters are. It doesn't matter. I know them all, 403B, whatever they are. You have to start taking money out because the government has not been paid yet. You've accumulated all this money in that deferred account, and now the government wants their money back. So they're going to tell you, you must take an RMD based on your age. Again, it's how long you're going to live. It's a mortality table, actually.
Age again.
Age. They're going to take the amount of money you have in the 401k IRA, all added up, and divide it the first year, 25.1. That's the factor. Basically, it's how many years you got to live. Okay. Bottom line. And that's going to determine how much money you have to take as a minimum amount so that you're taxed on it from your IRA or 401k.
So the point of the RMD is for you to get the money from your retirement account paid to you, so it spends it down.
Well, to you, that's what it is. But for the government, it's the government to get their money.
They want their money.
And let me tell you something about RMDs. Whether you take it or you don't take it, if you die or you don't die with an IRA or 401k, somebody's going to pay the tax. So you either pay the tax over the rest of your life, okay, through an RMD, the RMD system, or when you pass away, your wife gets it as a spousal inherited IRA and she gets it, or a non-spousal, kids, and they're going to pay the tax. You're not getting out of this alive without taxes in this country. I talked about this in my book 8-10 years ago. We're in a debt-driven society. If you have a lot of money, you're always going to have insurance and maintenance and repairs and taxes and insurance. We're in a debt-driven society. You have to pay for those things. That's why income is so important. That's why people freak out about their Social Security. How much am I going to get? I want to know to the penny. To the penny. Look, you could have somebody come in this office and they're worth $1 million in their 401k. To the penny, I'll ask them how much their Social Security is. They know to the penny. I'm going to get $29.50 a month. Oh, I turned it on. I'm getting $33.50 a month, right? They know to the penny. Ask them about their 401k. Ask them about their IRA, and they have no clue. Ask them what their RMD is. They have no clue. They call us. We get the RMD phone call. Hey, I just got a letter. What is this thing? I got to take money out of my account. Why? Now, for most people, let's talk about this. RMDs are actually a good thing because that means you're getting income, and that means you're getting money dispersed to you. You got to pay tax. Well, you haven't paid any tax. That's why you have to pay tax on the money. I mean, some of this stuff is psychology. You have to understand that people haven't paid tax for 30 years. They forget that it's not that your 401k is not a tax-free vehicle. It's taxable, 100% taxable. Now, when I say that to people, they look at me like, what are you, crazy? I got to pay tax on them? Yes, you haven't paid for 30 years. Of course you have to pay tax. You started at 30. You've built up $800,000. All of that money, 100% of it is taxable dollars. The other thing people want to do is they want to live off the interest off their 401k. And they go, Joe, I don't want to touch any principal. Well, it's probably virtually impossible for somebody for 30 years to not take principal out of their IRA or 401k if you're taking RMDs. Because here's the deal. The RMD amount, I hear people say it's 4%, it's 3%. It's a factor. It's divided by the number it is. The number of years you've got to live. And it goes up every year. So that means that if your RMD is 5% a year and you're only making 3%, they've taken 2% out of your principal. Now, if you're making 8% and the RMD is 5%, well, then there's more money coming in interest-wise than you're taking out. So your money will build. But it's virtually impossible to have that happen. So that's why the annuity payout for life helps you. It satisfies the RMD, and you don't have to worry about an RMD. It's coming into you forever.
I see. So the older you get, the bigger the RMD amount is.
Correct. This is the whole thing about sitting down with a financial planner, retirement planner, an advisor of some sort. You have to get to understand these ages and the reasons you have to do certain things at certain dates.
Yes.
Right? Now, I'm going to blow your mind, but the government is changing things. The Secure Act 2.0, Secure Act 2.0 is changing. I just read this because I know about it. I knew it was going to happen, but they're going from age 73 for RMDs. They're going to lengthen it to 75. So in 2033, you will only have to you don't have to take any money out until age 75.
Okay.
So it's another 2 years extra that you can defer income. Now, this is for people that don't want to take any money. Mm-hmm. Most people want their money yesterday. If they're retiring, most of our retirees come in, and I'll say to them, can you, like our bonus plans, can you wait an extra year? If you can wait a year and defer, it will mean more money to you because of our bonus plan that we have. However, you just have to figure this stuff out. I mean, really, Jenny, that's what it comes down to. Just figuring out, looking at the numbers, looking at your, the ages. That's why I'm always asking about what's your age. It's all age predicated.
Right. Give Jupiter Joe a call, 561-743-0999. Go to jupiterjoe.com. You can book your free appointment there. Mm-hmm. And we'd love to meet you. We're here in Jupiter.
Now, I want to talk about something. This happened this week. It happens every week. Literally every week it happens. My friend, my relative, my cousin, my brother, my uncle in Cincinnati. I've heard this my whole career. One of the reasons I wrote the book Retirement Know-It-All is not because I'm a know-it-all. I clearly do not know everything about retirement. No. I know a lot about it. I've been doing it my whole life, but I don't know everything, right? And yet every day I have somebody that tells me that I know less than they do about retirement planning. Mm-hmm. And so this happens all the time. And this happened this week. It happened last week. It happens every other week. And somebody will call me and say, they'll have a meeting with me. And I'll tell them this, I'll tell them that, I'll tell them that. And then they go, I just spoke to my friend and they said that you don't know what you're talking about. Happens all the time. Now, listen, I laugh at it. I joke about it, but it's kind of serious because, think about the advice you're taking from somebody. Right. Mm-hmm. And I said this to a woman who told me this, and I said to her, let me ask you a question. What kind of car do you have? I drive a Mercedes. I drive a BMW. I don't care if you drive a Chevy, whatever it is. When you have a repair issue, your air conditioner goes, which is a major issue, right? Mm-hmm. I've had a car air conditioner go. It was $1,800.
It's not fun in July either.
It's not fun in South Florida in July, and it's expensive. Mm-hmm. And I said to that person, let me ask you a question. Your air conditioner goes. I go, what kind of car do you have? And it doesn't matter what you have. She happened to have a Mercedes. I go, let me ask you a question. Do you go to the Chevy dealer or the Ford dealer or the Mercedes dealer? Oh, I'm going to Mercedes, of course. And I go, why? Well, they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So when you talk to your friend who's you're having breakfast with, right, or coffee with, think about the level of expertise that person has. I'm not degrading anybody. I'm just saying think about that. Mm-hmm. What knowledge level do they have about specifics regarding retirement rules and laws? Okay. Mm-hmm. And I used to do a lot of seminars, with Kathy Green years ago. We did our share of the dog and pony show, it's called. You go out, you give somebody a meal, and you hope they do business with you, blah, blah, blah. And inevitably, I would talk about stretch IRAs. I would talk about Roth IRA. I would talk about all these things that, QLAC, things that people really don't know too much about, right? And I'd get a call the next day, and somebody would say, Joe, you don't know what you're talking about. I went to my local bank and asked the 18-year-old girl behind the counter, look, I have two girls that are my daughters, and you guys know a lot of stuff, but you don't know everything. Mm-hmm. But they'd ask the 18-year-old girl behind the counter and say, hey, what do you know about this stretch IRA stuff? Mm. They know nothing. But they say, oh, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. The guy calls me and says, you don't know what you're talking about. Now, that happens all the time, and it just blows my mind. Take advice no matter what you're buying, whatever you're doing. I tell people, you're going to do a trust, go to an attorney. Mm-hmm. You're going to pay the money. Mm-hmm. You need taxes done. You know how many people do their own taxes? In this day and age with the new tax laws, Trump is giving you a $12,000 tax deduction. Huge amounts of money. We've had people come in here. In fact, I had a client come in here. The year before, he paid $6,000. This year, he got $12,000 back as a refund. Mm-hmm. Go to an attorney. Go to an accountant. Mm-hmm. If you want to do a retirement plan, go to a retirement planner. Whether it's me or somebody else, that's up to you. But get professional advice, okay? It's that simple.
Well, this stuff isn't easy.
That's my point. It's not easy. And I base a lot of my knowledge on clients that I've seen. You know, me and Mom went to see Dr. Appleton, right?
Yeah.
Because she's got a leg issue, right? And we're going down. He was a great chiropractor. He's a good guy. I went and met with him. And he knows his stuff. He's been doing this for 40 years. And we got to talking, and he was just telling me about things. And I was telling him, I said, you know, it's the level of expertise you have, and that's why we're going to you. Now, we're driving from Jupiter to Pompano. Why am I driving that far? Because the guy knows what he's doing, right?
And you know what? He's seen, thousands of people?
So that's the point I was going to make. You just made me remember what I was going to say. He actually told us he's done 9,000 of these laser therapy things.
Wow.
Right? Takes pain away from people. That's why you go to people. I have seen thousands of clients. I learn more from my clients, like Dr. Appleton learns from his patients. You learn from the people you're doing business with. What was this problem? How did we solve it? In fact, we're going to do that. We're going to talk about some client stories about how we took this person from this point to that point with their retirement. You know, you just have to realize that there are things that we can do for you that nobody else can. You know,
Exactly.
Understand there are different products in the world, different solutions in the world that you don't know about. Accept that, you know. And I hate to dwell on this. It's just that it came up this week again, and I felt like telling this guy, you know, why are you listening to somebody that knows nothing? You know, the level of expertise is, you know, you got to get it from somebody that knows. It's that simple.
Exactly. Even if you get a second or third opinion, which is the point as well.
There you go.
Go to jupiterjoe.com, book your free appointment. There's no cost to you. Call us 561-743-0999. So you had mentioned earlier about income, and I was just thinking, income is gold. You know how much your paycheck is when you're at a job.
Yep.
And when that paycheck stops, you know, where are you getting this amount of income?
Well, and that has to do with people that own 401ks. I always say to people, okay, you're retired. There's a lot of people who just stop working, right? And they go, okay, I'm not working anymore, and I have this 401k. And I say to them, how is that going to work for you? How are you going to, well, I'm just going to call my 401k company, and I'm going to tell them I need some money. I go, okay, how much do you pull out? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I go, well, isn't it better to have a designated amount of money that you need every month coming into you, direct deposit?
Yes.
Right? Mailbox money. You know, it's funny. People are actually repeating things that I've said, mailbox money. But it's so true. I mean, it's just like Social Security. You know, look, I can't tell you how many we ask clients, what's your income? Even if they're working, the first thing they say to me is, well, we're collecting Social Security and we're getting X.
Right.
Why? Because they know the amount. I'll ask them what their income is, and they think about it, because either income adjusts after taxes, income, you know, there's different numbers.
Gross or net.
There you go. So this is why we do something so important for clients, showing you how to get guaranteed fixed income for the rest of your life and for the rest of your spouse's life. And whatever's left over goes to the kids. If there's nothing left over, there's nothing left over. Okay, we were talking about pensions earlier and how a pension does not go to your kids in most instances. In fact, I was talking to some FP&L guy, and he was going to take the full amount. And I said, why would you do that? Why would you disinherit your wife, your spouse, your kids, you know? And by the way, like you pointed out, now, no income doubler.
Huge deal.
Here you have a pension plan. You worked 30 or 40 years. You've got a lot of pension plans. People who have pension plans have a lot of money in there, $500,000, $1 million, 800,000. And you're going to risk that entire amount of money that you will run out of money if you get sick. Why would you not have an income doubler? In fact, I don't understand why the pensions don't have long-term care income doublers built into their pensions. It's an annuity. It's an annuity. You know why? Because they don't want to be responsible for it. And they know that if something happens to that client, they're basically, that's it. They've got that one, it's an irrevocable transaction. They can't change it. It's done, you know?
Yeah. And So with a pension, is there a specific age that you can take your pension, or you have to be there a certain amount of time?
So yeah, there's a certain, most people are going to be 65, 67.
Really?
You know,
Another
that's why
age.
that's why I always mention these ages, you know, 62, 65, 67, 70, 73. Those are the big numbers right there. And each one of those is a life event in and of itself. 59 and a half. You know, there's a joke in the business. Why did the government come up with 59 and a half? Well, you know, if you know anything about the government, when they make decisions on law, they kind of argue. And the thing about this is that why would, you know, you be able to take money out of an account of 59 and a half? Why not make it 60?
Yeah.
Why not just make it 60? Well, the deal, I heard this story a while ago, and I think it's true. There was a couple of lawmakers in Washington, D.C., having a few beers, and they're drinking, and they said, you know what? You want 60, I want 59, let's make it 59 and a half. I mean, it's so confusing. 59 and a half. Who goes around and goes, I'm 59 and a half?
Yeah.
Who does that? And by the way, it used to be 70 and a half, you know, for the RMD. Now it's 73. They changed it. So these laws are not simple. And the reason I'm bringing them up is, look, if you want an expert to talk to you about this stuff that has done it inside out, give us a call. Let us show you what we know about this stuff. Okay, it is not simple, but we're going to break it down and make it simple for you. You know, when a client comes in, the first thing I ask them is, how old are you? Because age is a life-changing event for you. You know, and then how long are you going to live? You know, who knows, right? But you want to live as long as you can, as long as you're healthy, and your mind's there and your body's there. Learn how to turn money that's not guaranteed into guaranteed income for life. That's what we do, okay? And we do it very well, you know?
Yeah, and if you're listening and maybe you're driving home from work,
yeah,
you know, these are things that you should be thinking about, especially if you're trying to retire.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure everybody listening is you can see us, you can watch our YouTube channel, the Jupiter Joe Money Show. You can see what we look like. Some people think you are very short and bald, but you're not.
Short and bald, really?
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny, you do listen on the radio and you think, what's this guy sound like? In fact, I just seen, you know, the guy from Morgan & Morgan. I was going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Very successful attorney group. And the guy's a very little guy. And he's actually from Orlando, Florida.
Oh.
Morgan & Morgan. I didn't know that. And they're one of the largest, they are the largest law firms out there. But it's funny how you think you hear something, like I used to listen to Dave Ramsey for years on the radio. I really didn't know what he looked like because in those days when I was listening, there wasn't the internet like there is now.
Right,
you know, I've been listening to him for years and years. Anyway, I think for anybody listening, I think it's really a, you know, we get a lot of people who come in who have said, I've been listening for 2 years, Joe.
Even longer, yeah.
I've been listening for whatever. Look, I've been on the radio on and off for 15 years in South Florida. And we don't burn bridges. And what that means is we're here to help you. Look, I'll be the first guy to tell you if I can't help you. I had a couple come in and they said, you know what? We're looking for, it was so funny. They said to me, they're looking for 20 to 30% returns. And they had bought a building in Texas and they made 30% of their money. I said, look, we don't do that sort of thing. This isn't a get rich quick scheme. This is slow, fixed, you know, the turtle and the hare story.
Yep.
Okay. The hare doesn't always win the race because slow and steady does.
Yes.
And that's what we do. You know, Social Security is boring. I find it so boring, right? However, it's a necessity. Income from an annuity is a necessity for most Americans because they need a guaranteed income stream. They just haven't had somebody tell them that they need it.
Steady.
That's what we're going to do for you. We're going to give you slow and steady guaranteed income, mailbox money that you can count on for the rest of your life. Oh, and by the way, your spouse will get it for the rest of their life. And anything left over goes to your kids. Okay? Now, if you say to me, hey, Joe, I never want to touch my principal, we'll do an interest only. In fact, we need to do a show on interest only where people can live on just their interest for the rest of their life and not touch their principal. Brian Craig talks about that a lot of times when I go on. We have that option. You know, a lot of stuff kind of blends together, but there are different options within annuities. We can do growth, we can do income, we can do interest only, we can do interest, fixed interest. We kind of blend it in together a lot because sometimes we'll combine those products together. But anyway, look, folks, I just want to let you know that this stuff isn't easy, and we're here to help you break it down for your specific needs.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we do this show, is to
There
help
you go.
people educate. So make sure you grab a copy of Jupiter Joe's book, The Retirement Know-It-All. You can book your free appointment at jupiterjoe.com, and you can call us here in the office. Me or Dana will answer the phone, 561-743-0999.
Thank you very much for listening today.
And we'll see you next time on the Jupiter Joe Money Show.